trend is actually more harmful than people realize? The anti-sleep movement might be one of the most twisted forms of child abuse I've ever witnessed. I didn't know about it until Jake started falling asleep at the piano. He was one of my private piano students, and from the moment he showed up for his first lesson that September, something was off. His eyes were bloodshot and sunken, and his hands trembled as he placed them on the keys. He was 11 years old and had transferred from another teacher across town. His dad said they wanted someone who could push Jake to excellence. During that first lesson, Jake kept nodding off between songs. His head would drop forward and jerk back up when his hands slipped off the keys. I figured he was just another overscheduled kid with too many activities. I suggested we move his 4 p.m. slot to earlier in the day, but his dad insisted this was the only time that worked with Jake's optimization schedule. By the third week, Jake was falling asleep while actively playing, not just during the talking parts but mid-song. His fingers would slow down and eventually stop moving while his eyes closed. One time he fell asleep so deeply that he slumped forward and his forehead hit the keys, creating a jarring chord that didn't wake him. I had to shake his shoulder to bring him back. I tried everything to keep him engaged. I let him pick fun songs instead of classical pieces. I incorporated movement exercises and music games. I even started keeping candy on the piano to give him sugar boosts. Nothing worked. If anything, he got worse as the weeks went on. His playing deteriorated because he couldn't focus long enough to practice at home. By October, I was seriously concerned. Jake was talented and had obviously been well trained by his previous teacher, but now he couldn't play pieces he'd mastered months ago. His coordination was shot. He'd mix up his left and right hands or forget what key we were in. Sometimes he'd stare at the sheet music like he'd never seen notes before. I knew I had to talk to someone, but piano teachers don't have the same reporting structures as school teachers. I decided to approach it carefully with Jake first. After a particularly rough lesson where he dozed off 4 times in 30 minutes, I sat next to him on the bench. I asked him gently if he was okay and whether he was getting enough sleep at night. Jake perked up like I'd said a magic word and said, "I'm doing the 2-hour program Dad found. I'm almost adjusted." My hands went cold. When I asked him to explain, he told me his father had discovered something online about how sleep was a scam invented to keep people average. CEOs and geniuses only needed 2 hours of sleep once they trained their bodies. Jake was in month 3 of the program, down from 8 hours to just 2 hours from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. My stomach churned as Jake kept explaining. His dad had removed his bed and installed bright lights that stayed on all night. If Jake tried to lie down outside his sleep window, alarms would go off. He took cold showers every 2 hours to stay awake and did push-ups between piano practice sessions at home. His dad tracked everything in a spreadsheet and posted updates in an online forum for parents, maximizing their children's potential. I cut the lesson short and called his dad to pick him up early, saying Jake seemed sick. Then I sat in my car Googling what to do. Private music teachers are mandated reporters in my state, but I'd never had to make that call before. I finally called child services and explained everything Jake had told me. The next week, Jake didn't show up for his lesson. His dad left me a voicemail saying they were taking a break from distractions, while Jake pushed through something called an adaptation phase. He sounded manic, talking about breakthrough moments in evolution. I saved the voicemail and forwarded it to the social worker handling the case. I found out later that child services had visited their home that same week. They found Jake's room converted into what his father called a productivity pod. Motion sensors, cameras, and alarms everywhere. No furniture except a standing desk. The walls were covered in charts tracking Jake's sleep, productivity metrics, and awakeness scores. The father had shown them his online community of thousands of parents doing the same thing to their kids. The social worker told me Jake had been immediately removed and placed with his aunt. Medical exams showed severe sleep deprivation effects, including hallucinations, stunted growth, and cognitive impairment. The father was ordered to undergo psychiatric evaluation, but insisted he was trying to give his son advantages in a competitive world. I thought I had done the right thing, but apparently not, because it wasn't long before his dad showed me just how effing psycho some parents really are. Full story on channel, link below.